Hey guys, remember to like the video and hit subscribe.
And demand to go in and physically stop this and let them arrest you.
One thing that people have forgotten, and I don't know if it was like the soyification of our society or what, like people bitch about like arrests and everything so much. Like getting arrested is kind of the point of peaceful resistance. Like that's kind of what you want to happen. Like if you do, like in the MLK days and civil rights and all this, like if you do a huge protest, like no one's even getting arrested, that means you're up. Now that doesn't mean you should be like arsoning people or assaulting people or, you know, doing like horrendously breaking the law, but like trying to get into a building that you have access to like this, I think 100% this would be a good thing to do. Although I do believe that, I think that there are congressmen that did go down. I don't know if they stayed until they got arrested or whatever, but I think that this would be like strong leadership. I think this would be good. Yeah.
I mean, fine. Let America see that there are still people who believe in.
Destiny, someone pointed out that if the Dems are there, Republicans are free to slam things through the House while they are in jail. I don't think the House works that way, no? Like, if half the Dems aren't there, that doesn't mean that all of a sudden you only need half as many votes to pass legislation, right?
In government, in the U.S., and democracy. Let them arrest you. I mean, go down there. This guy I'm talking to is this representative, a newly elected guy, former service member. I'm like, dude, if someone attacked our shores, you put yourself in harm's way. I mean, march down to wherever this building is, where all these acolytes and the High Sparrow are, and walk in there and demand they stop and let them arrest you. Democrats, this is not a time to come together.
What are you talking about? You literally read the article earlier, the stream of congressionals being unable to get into the building for certain departments. Yeah, but I'm saying like stay and get arrested. These would be headlining stories that would force action. It would force us to fight on our terms. Now we're going to talk about, instead of Elon Musk and, you know, shitting out as much fake news as possible on X, now we can talk about our congressmen, our lawmakers are getting arrested. For what reason? Because they're not allowed into federal buildings that they have more right to be in than any retarded Doge member? Like that would be, these would be good stories to be talking about, I think.
And let them arrest you. Democrats, this is not a time to come together. This is a time to come to the rescue. Get together, all of you, wherever the building is, wherever they're actually shutting off.
Well, they move very quickly is the problem. They don't quite know where they're going. Like they go from, they have the advantage here in that regard, is they can show up at various places and you don't know where they're showing up.
Well, we have very talented, smart people, too, with smartphones. I would create...
Yeah, you can do this very easily. That's a weak excuse. Like, just shoot us a text if something happens. Don't most of these people stay in D.C. or live in D.C. during session anyway? It's not like these people have to fly in from around the country.
A group of people, elected representatives, that go to these places where they are and say, I believe you are breaking the law. You are not an elected official. You need to leave this federal government building. And if the Capitol Police respect the law, if the Capitol Police show up at the order of the president and say, you need to vacate, I would not vacate. And if you get arrested, fine. I'm not a fan of breaking the law. I think the law is on our side here. I think these guys are breaking the law. And just because you have permission from the president, let's fight it out in court and find out, well, can the president break the law? Because as we have seen, the president has been stopped. Anytime this gets in front of a judge, it usually gets stopped.
Shut down, yeah.
So do you have the right as a citizen, an elected representative, or do you have the obligation to get in the way, legislative, verbally, legally, and quite frankly at this point, physically? I'm not suggesting violence. I'm not suggesting these elected representatives have license to walk into any federal building. Millions of people have elected them. Find out where this is going on and go down there and say to these people, what you are doing is illegal.
I get it.
Elon Musk hired mercenaries to keep House Democrats out of the Department of Education. Are these like private police, or is that what the star is? Or is that the Doji symbol? Triple Canopy is an American, private security company and private military company that provides armed security mission support and risk management service to corporate. Wiki article written that it provides security services to government clients. How do you know that they weren't there before as part of contract? Seems like they've been hired by other departments for security purposes. Oh, so this is just fake news. Good job, dipshit.
The issue is, even when the judges stop them, though, they say, oh, we have security clearance, but no proof of it. Like this, they're persistent. Elon Musk has said to me,
move fast and break things.
Hey, everybody, I'm here with multiple.
I think it was Florida, Maxwell Frost. I was going to call him Scott Frost. Maxwell Frost. We've talked to this guy before, I think a couple times. He's a representative down here in Florida.
Hey, everybody, I'm here with multiple members of Congress. We're here to go to the Department of Education to fight for education, and they have locked the doors. They're not letting us in. It says all access entrance. There's this random guy out here who's refusing to let us in.
His name is
And right
Jim
here-
Harefield.
What's his name?
His name is Jim Harefield.
And right here, they have armed officers as well, acting like we're dangerous. A year ago, I'd be able to walk into this building and not be locked out. This is what they're doing. Elon is allowed in, but not you. Not your elected representatives, not parents, not students. Elon can go in, his goons can go in, but not the representatives of the people.
I wonder who gives orders to, it must be the DC National Guard is like the top of the chain for defense for these buildings, or do each of these buildings have their own kind of like subunits that don't directly go through the National Guard? Like there's like the DC Capitol Police don't go through the National Guard. I have no idea. I don't know what the chain of command looks like for this.
Exactly. That's correct. This is what they're doing. And, you know, like Elon must have said to me, we have self-driving in a year. We have self-driving in a year. We have security clearance. Anything, like one of them was like, how do you know they don't have it? I go, because their mouths are moving. They're lying. They lie as a practice in order to get to the next thing. They're high risk takers. They're willing to they know you're not going to stop them, that, you know, ultimately, because it takes effort. They don't want to govern. They want to break. And even though they're in charge of the government, they don't want to reform it. They want to break it. They want to destroy it. They want to take it down to its studs so that they can then rebuild in the way they see fit. And the arrogance of these people, I cannot tell you. You could like fuel a rocket to Mars with the arrogance of these people. And what's interesting is there's a bunch of lawsuits filed, as you said, as part of the counteroffensive. Unions, federal employees, and others are challenging the legality of Elon and Doge to get access to federal systems, destroy agencies, or push people out of jobs. I'm telling you, Elon also loves a legal fight, right? He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He waits people out. This is perfectly designed for someone like him, like to behave. And every one of his actions is very much the way he's behaved. That's one thing.
Also, always call it Doji. Don't call it Doge. Always Doji, okay?
You know, when I said he's not going to listen to that, he's going to go to the next one. And someone was like, how did you know? And then he did it. And I'm like, because this is his little act, right? This is his same thing every time. He's not particularly creative in new methods of this kind of stuff. But one of the things that's important to keep in mind is that he does have a pattern that he does all the time. And so do all these people, by the way. They all have the same pattern of making a mistake, whether it's for your teen girls and making them feel bad and going, we're so sorry, we're so sorry, we're so sorry, you know? And I think that's the one thing is not fully appreciated, that they're not sorry, nor will they pay attention to the law, even if a court orders, you know, right now.
Then what the fuck can happen? Can they sue? Let's get Mark Cuban to find us. The problem is, like, people don't care about legal shit, and people don't care about the corpse, or not the corpse. I just read this dumb thing. The courts. People don't care about what happens there, or they don't care about like orders from judges or any of that shit, because it's either on their team or it's corrupt. Like, that's the only thing that they see. So having the physicality of Congress people being arrested, I think it's a much bigger thing than just more articles about another preliminary injunction or temporary restraining order or a court shooting. Like, that's just like words on paper. Like, who cares? But seeing like, oh, that's my congressperson. They just got arrested. I think that mobilizes people and energizes them way more than the random court shit.
Now, court orders Musk out of the Treasury computer payment system so it can sort out whether the Doge is a legal government entity. You know, are they out? They were in there before, or, you know, that's the whole thing. Is I don't know if they're actually, nobody knows if they're out. And then let me say the last thing. What they're going to do is find little cherry pick costs that look bad, right? And make things up, because they just lie. They just lie.
Yeah, money laundering.
Or they're criminals. This thing about subscriptions at Politico, it was $24,000 at USAID. They were using their Politico Pro, just like you'd buy a subscription. And may I point out that the government pays Elon $15 billion. So everybody for his wares. And then it's petty and unbelievable nonsense. And they'll cherry pick stupid little things. A lot of them inaccurate, like the condoms to Gaza, for example. A lot of them deeply inaccurate or based on stories that are specious. So they'll keep doing that constantly so that we're like cats chasing a laser pointer.
But just moving to what we can do, the Democrats at this point, I mean, I remember talking to Ray Dalio about our elected officials, and he's like, and by the way, he was like, this is war. Take the gloves off. I mean, this isn't try to understand or empathize with the people who elected this guy.
People are saying, what about the courts? The problem you're running into is that whatever a court says, that's up to the executive to enforce. And it's very weird and strange when you're having to constantly take the executive to court when the executive has said that they're not playing by the rules anymore. So we're getting into scary territory where we're already in the territory where courts have issued, I think, TROs against some of this federal funding freezing stuff. And I don't know, I should keep track of these. Not the birthright citizenship thing, but the federal funding freeze stuff. Didn't that get blocked? But I don't know how much of this the executive is even listening to right now. So if they just say F it, then who knows, right? A Trump-appointed judge just stayed the firing of 2,200 USAID employees a couple hours ago. Oh, okay. Judge blocks USAID firing. Oh, yeah, we heard about this earlier. But I don't know what this means. Like, are they still going to tell them to leave anyway? Or are they still going to freeze all these organizations anyway? Or, like, who knows? Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens, I guess. Judge in nation's capital extends block on Trump administration. Federal funding freeze. Oh, this is another one, yeah.
In my opinion, this is war. And they essentially... They're challenging the Constitution and democracy. I don't think it's time for us to try and figure out, like, understand them. What I would say is, and I've heard from a lot of Canadians who appreciate our thoughts around the tariffs, and one person called me who Canada's actually strangely, like, there's like 12 families who kind of, I don't want to say run everything, but kind of own the majority of stuff. And I was talking, I mean, I'd like to think that America came to the aid of a lot of nations in real times of crisis over the last 100 years, and we want to keep doing that. I mean, at this point, I believe that nations need to come to the aid of America at this point. And I would suggest taking a page, and to the extent that people feel frustrated or worried about America no longer being the shining beacon leading democracies all over the world or setting the tone, what Canada did was I think you need to be very Machiavellian.
Oh, because I think Canada said they were going to start targeting. Did they say that, or am I making that up? That they were going to target Republican areas of commerce or whatever with their tariffs? Although now that's all been put on hold, so who knows?
Strategic. A province in Canada has canceled a $100 million contract for Starlink. They've said, we're just not going to continue to fund the lead of a coup.
Vote with your wallet.
I'd hit them where they're in their soft tissue, and that is, if you think America plays and should continue to play a vital role in our democracy and be that shiny beacon on a hill, and you are using Starlink, or your government is in negotiations around subsidies, whatever it might be for EVs, or...
Who is actually responsible for checking the executive branch? I mean, it's checked by the other two branches of government. But at the end of the day, the executive is the one with the forces to actually carry out the rule of law. So theoretically, I mean, the executive branch is the one that could over everybody. I mean, technically nothing, but I mean, you always have your enforcement branch. I guess it...
or Tesla, I would make it clear that you are not going to support an individual who's leading a coup in a nation that has, for the most part, been a really staunch ally. I'm now at the point where I can't call them Republicans. I think they are both kind of surprised and giddy that they're getting away with this, and also scared of crossing Elon for fear they'll be primaried by Twitter and his hundreds of millions of dollars, which he can do now, given the fact that we let one man amass $400 billion in power. Mm-hmm. And two, they're surprised. And also, quite frankly, Kara, I think Senator Murphy is fantastic. We come across as neutered and feckless at this point. We are like, look over here. Oh, I can't believe you would say it was DEI around a helicopter. Mm-hmm. You are exactly right. Yeah, that is a sideshow.
And may I say, the media is doing the same things.
I'm retarded. How are these federal judges blocking executive orders? Well, if an executive order goes out, if somebody in government does something that you think is violative of your right or is illegal, if you have standing, so you're an affected party, to bring a case, then what happens is you sue, and before the case goes through, or before you get to trial or anything like that, you can file motions beforehand. Something might be called you could file a preliminary injunction or a temporary restraining order. And what will happen is a judge will look at the case and he'll loosely evaluate the merits, and he'll figure well, if you're likely to succeed on the merits of this case, then you can grant a preliminary injunction, or you can grant a temporary restraining order or some type of stay. I think all three of those things are slightly different. So like earlier in YouTube chat, Jen said that they had a stay on the firing of all those USAID employees. A stay just means you're going to do an action, but just wait a moment on that action. Just stay